Hey, so in my last video, Make Bread, we talked about this idea of coming up higher, and I kind of gave an example of it, but I didn't tell how, and that's a really meaty topic. So we're just gonna lay a seed of it today, okay? Because I'm still learning all of this, okay? I feel like my understanding is very elementary. I know it is, okay? So this is just to be considered a seed, and the Holy Spirit will come and water that seed, bring more to that seed, and I know that the Lord will bring forth increase to those who are faithful. Okay, so that's my declaration and my prayer over this video. So we're going to talk about the sanctification process, because sanctification is the removing of sin, okay? Setting apart from sin. And sin is what keeps us from God, okay? From intimacy with God. And, in Revelations 4, where it says, come up here, where are we going? If you read that chapter, it's talking about the throne room of God. So, what a wonderful, glorious thing that we're invited to this place. Okay. But we need to prepare ourselves. Okay. And let me say, we cannot do this to ourselves. This is the work of the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit is a gentleman. He operates from consent. Okay. First, you need to be aware that this process needs to come, that you need this process, and then you have to consent to the process, okay? And then, so basically, I became aware of myself, okay? And the need that I realized I'm not who I thought I was, okay? And I need God, okay? And I asked Him to make me look more like Him. I became aware of how ugly I was. Okay. And so He filled me with His Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit immediately started here. Okay. So let me give you the imagery. Okay. So this is the imagery He gave me. Okay. And it looks like a circuit. It's called a pattern. Okay. Jesus on the earth started His ministry at the Sea of Galilee. Galilee means circuit. So this is where Jesus within you starts His ministry. Okay. And so this right here represents an offense. Like if you offended somebody, or if somebody offended you. Okay. And so we all have our own patterns of how we normally would respond to an offense. Some people I was anger. Okay. That was my go-to. It was like yelling, wrathful. Okay. Some people are really covert. They're going to jab you under the table. There's different types of responses. Okay. Some people might shut down. Okay. But anyways, there's some sort of pattern that you operate in, and you learn these through generations. This is generational cycles, okay, and generational sins. Okay, we learn these they're in our DNA, they're in our pattern, okay, and trauma, offenses will start this pattern, okay, or triggers. So every time an offense happens, you're going to lash out in some way, shape, or form. Me, anger. Okay. So then I was embarrassed. Okay. Then I was ashamed. And then I was, I reevaluated the situation. What can I do better next time? Okay. I pepping myself up. Next time I'm going to do better. And then again, the same thing. I would be triggered. That every time I was triggered, and I entered into this cycle again, and I was getting nowhere. I was doing it within my own strength, and I was getting nowhere. And so anyways, the Holy Spirit started His ministry here, and He explained to me, you lie down on the cross. This is your cross to bear, okay? And you lie down and you pray through it. And instead of going through this shame, evaluating the situation, giving yourself a pep talk. He is your counselor here. He is explaining to you what had just happened, okay? And, sometimes it was rooted in pride within me. Sometimes it was just a poor mindset, okay? I didn't understand something or whatnot. Sometimes it was the other person, and he had to explain to me what was rooted in their heart, and how that got there. And what that did for me is it helped me. When you understand something, you tend to have more compassion for it, especially if you've suffered something similar. If you can evaluate yourself and recognize that you battle with the same things, then you're more likely to, you're more likely to understand that you needed the same forgiveness that they did, okay? So anyways, he just goes through this process with you. And every time that you choose to pray through it and go through this counseling process with him, it makes it easier to choose it. It's just like a muscle, okay? And so you're exercising the new man. You're putting on his nature, his understanding, renewing your mind to his mind, okay? And this is killing on the cross the old man, okay? And it's a shaving process. It's not an instant thing. It just slowly shaves off the process. This persecution does, okay? So anyways, I was doing this for a while. Long time, several months to a year or so. And my husband had said to me, these things that used to really bother you don't seem to be bothering you as much anymore. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Thanks for noticing. But I started to explain to him that, yeah, I'm getting these, it's fewer. I still get angry, but it's fewer and further between, and it doesn't seem to overcome me like it used to. So let me stop and draw something. Okay, so then I had this concept that was like fewer and further between. Okay, so I was like, I'm getting somewhere here. And it was by the strength of Jesus, not my own strength, okay? Because I was submitting to King Jesus here. Well, the Lord had me do a little word study in Proverbs, okay, about the wise counsel, and this imagery of a whirlwind comes up, okay? So then I realized, oh my gosh, it's a whirlwind, okay? So, and if you look, in the Pentecostal, when the Holy Spirit is poured out in the upper room, it's a gust of wind, okay? And there's other imageries, in the Bible, like Elijah, where the Spirit of God and move of God is represented by a whirlwind. And in dream symbolism, a move of God is represented as a tornado or a storm. Okay, so I had this understanding that, this is how I was coming up higher in my understanding. I was able to see a bigger picture of the situation instead of down low, okay? So anyways, I think I'm going to stop on the rest today. There will be more as the Lord brings forth more, to kind of go into like the throne room. But as far as like today, this is where I'm going to end. So I hope this blessed you. I pray that this is just the seed that the Lord comes and pours out on and brings forth increase for you. Bye.